Tonight on BBC London, calls grow for a pause in protests in central London ahead of two marches planned for this weekend. It'll be one of Scotland Yard's biggest ever public order operations.
We have marches in central London week after week after week. They are putting people off coming into central London, both visitors and residents.
Also ahead tonight, giving young men the tools they need to navigate the world of toxic male role models. We visit one school in Camden tackling the issue. Plus,
can Chelsea emerge from their chaotic season with silverware? The stage is set here at Wembley. It's Chelsea against Manchester City in the FA Cup final tomorrow.
Connor, come on up.
and a special award for a very young scout, the 6-year-old whose quick thinking saved his mum's life. Good evening and welcome to the programme. Calls are growing for a pause in protests in central London ahead of two marches planned for this weekend, leading to one of Scotland Yard's biggest ever public order operations. One of the marches, the Unite the Kingdom rally, will start in Kingsway and it'll go via the Strand onto Whitehall and into Parliament Square. Meanwhile, the Nakba Day pro-Palestinian march starts in Exhibition Road and heads east via Knightsbridge and Piccadilly to Pall Mall. The new Conservative leader of Westminster Council has joined calls for a pause in protests in his borough, while London Mayor Sir Sadiq Khan has urged people planning to attend either march to do so peacefully and with consideration for others. Our political reporter Susanna Mendonça has more.
They've become a familiar scene on the streets of central London, and this weekend two more large protests, one by mainly anti-immigration demonstrators, the other by pro-Palestinian groups, are expected to put more pressure on policing. And now the new leader of Westminster City Council, which the Conservatives took back from Labour in local elections last week, has written to the Home Secretary and the Met, calling for repetitive protests to stop, in particular pro-Palestinian marches.
We have marches in central London week after week after week, and some of them are very hateful, and they are putting people off coming into central London, both visitors and residents. People are worried about being seen, going to synagogue, travelling around London, and that's wrong. And the Home Secretary is the person who decides what marches can and can't happen, and they need to take a much stronger line on banning the marches.
Tensions have been heightened about the impact of pro-Palestinian marches on London's Jewish community following the Golders Green attacks. But organisers of this weekend's march say it's to mark an annual event they call Nakba Day, which commemorates the displacement of Palestinians in 1948, and they say they reject all forms of racism.
The message I think it sends out to Palestinians in particular in London is that as far as the head of Westminster City Council is concerned, their grief, their loss, their suffering, their history doesn't matter, and is something that, that doesn't deserve to be commemorated. I think, beyond that, there are very obvious reasons. It won't be a surprise to any of your viewers that Westminster, being Westminster, is frequently the site of protest.
The other major protest happening tomorrow is the Unite the Kingdom event organised by the far-right anti-Islam activist known as Tommy Robinson, who was behind another such protest last year. They haven't responded to our request for comment. But Camden Council, where that march will begin, told us it was proud to be a borough of sanctuary that welcomed those fleeing conflict, disaster and persecution. It added that it had witnessed violent and deeply concerning rhetoric during a similar march in September, which goes against everything the borough stands for.
Community issues and tensions that we're dealing with.
Today, an embattled Prime Minister joined London's Mayor on a visit to the Police Control Centre in Lambeth, where the Met will be coordinating the 4,000 officers who'll be needed, not just to cover the marches, but also an FA Cup final at Wembley too. The hospitality industry says it's worried about the impact on local businesses.
Alongside, this media frenzy, talking about these three events happening all at the same time within central London. I think really I would like to see a message going out that London is still open, the trains are still operating, the businesses are still open and people can still visit.
The political debate over which protests should or shouldn't happen continues to be an issue that divides opinion across London. Today, the Mayor, Sir Sadiq Khan, said the right to protest was a cornerstone of our democracy, but how it's done matters. And he added that anyone who incites religious or racial hatred this weekend would face the full force of the law. Susanna Mendonça, BBC London.
Lots more to come tonight, including...
This beautiful stretch of the River Thames is the first in London to become a designated bathing site. We'll be talking to some of the wild swimmers and finding out if this will make a difference to pollution levels in our waterways.
Next, AI-generated videos are increasingly flooding our social media feeds. They may appear funny or surreal, but sometimes beneath the surface there can lie much darker motives. The BBC's social media investigations correspondent, Mariana Spring, has been looking into everything from political fakes and racially charged disinformation to scam adverts and deepfake fraud for a special Panorama programme tonight. Earlier, I asked her about some of the Londoners that have found themselves at the centre of this. So, Mary, you've been speaking to people who've really been put through the ringer by highly personalised deepfakes.
Yeah, one of the things I've been looking at is the way that audio can be deepfaked in particular, and that's come on leaps and bounds over the past 6 months, a year. Now you can fake voices so that they actually interact with you. And one of the cases I looked into involves a woman called Jade. She's from North London, and she had an experience where a relative was called by a deepfaked voice of her.
It was my voice, and I was saying to her that I owe someone money and I need to pay them now. I sounded distressed, sounded like I'm about to cry. She was saying that they stayed on the phone the whole time. So it was like, yeah, it went through. Can you send some more? And then it was a bigger amount. And then it was like, can you send even more?
And they decided not to contact the police, but they did contact the bank. But by that point, it was too difficult to get the money back. And this was quite a lot of money that her relative had taken off her. So it shows you just how much how effectively AI can be used to scam people.
Absolutely, and terrifyingly so as well. But how has politically divisive misinformation evolved since then with this sort of rapid acceleration of AI?
Lots of people watching might have seen videos appear on their feeds that show London or other UK cities in a state of decline. So often there'll be rubbish on the streets. There'll be lots of people who are dressed in, for example, hijabs because they're making a point that is Islamophobic, that's about immigration. And they often focus on politically divisive issues like immigration and crime, but going far beyond real examples of that. These are AI-generated videos. One subgenre of this kind of content is these Croydon videos. They show Croydon as having a water park and a zoo, and they show roadmen, a negative stereotype of young men, who are behaving in an antisocial way at these water parks that are taxpayer funded. I tracked down the person who's created this kinds of content, and they're based nowhere near London. They live in the northwest of the UK, and they've never been to Croydon before. This is what they said.
Why do you do it?
Found it fun to make it, and then if you enjoy making it, you can also put it out there. If people profess to enjoy it, then it's good, isn't it?
What would you say to someone who argues that that kind of content is racist? It's reinforcing racist stereotypes.
Say that there's racist stereotypes everywhere if you look hard enough.
Now, quite a few of these pages on Facebook and Instagram that appear to be connected to one another pose as sort of patriotic news pages, Great British People, Great British News pages. But it turns out that loads of these pages are not from the UK at all. I've found that several of them are run by people in Sri Lanka, the Maldives, other European countries. Some say that their goal is political, others say it's for clicks and likes. I spoke to Meta, who own Instagram and Facebook, and they told me that they have dedicated teams to disrupt any kinds of coordinated, inauthentic behaviour.
Mariana Spring there, and you can watch Panorama, Scams, Lies and AI tonight at 7:30 on BBC One or on the iPlayer now. Next, what's it like to be a teenage boy in 2026? It's a question that Year 10 pupils at the William Ellis School in Camden have been grappling with in a workshop looking at sexism, misogyny and the role that social media influencers play in creating toxic role models. Our reporter Aisha Baksh has been to the school to meet them.
Which of these words down there feel like pressure?
It's always been tough being a teenager, but these days, some external influences can create anxiety and fear.
I feel like online, a lot of people are always pushing things on you about you have to do certain things, you have to look a certain way, you could say, you have to do this if you want to become a certain person. So I feel like it can become a lot.
The expectation to be perfect, as we've got this image from many people that the norm is to be tall, make a lot of money.
Hardworking, money, dominant.
At the William Ellis School in Camden, these Year 10 students have been taking part in media workshops. Run by the University of Middlesex, they discuss the influences on young people and how to combat misinformation while supporting their career choices and further education.
I feel like the discourse around masculinity has been overwhelmingly negative, and that's kind of filtering into the boys' consciousness even before they've had a chance to find their own way in the world and build their own identities. And I think it's really important that we actually take the time to listen to them about why they are more attracted to these toxic online influences.
I think what it's like to be a boy in 2026 is trying to find balance, like a balance between like vulnerability and confidence and being respectful, because it can be hard to just like stick to one and not care about the other.
The students will also soon start work on their own podcast with the university to allow them to find their own voices. So what are their hopes and fears for the future?
I want to be like successful, maybe make a lot of money, have a family. And my fears are like maybe I might not succeed.
Growing up, I want to be a good role model to people, and if I'm not, I feel like I'd be quite upset if I wasn't.
You know, I understand why for them it's a tricky time, but they are also going to be our professors, politicians, leaders, role models of the future. So it's our job to help them navigate that.
As these young people and their peers strive hard to find their way, those working in education are also helping them stay focused and strong. Aisha Baksh, BBC London.
Now, they're a common sight in the Alps, but why has London got one of these, a cable car? And is anyone actually using it? What was designed as a commuter crossing and to help regeneration has morphed into a profit-making tourist attraction. Here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards.
There are lots of ways to get across the Thames, including bridges, trains beneath it,
and boats and crossings.
So why did London decide to build this? And more importantly, does anyone actually use it? Would be quite a common sight in the Alps, but this is in East London. Officially, it's known as the London Cable Car, although some Londoners call it, and I prefer it, the Dangleway. If you haven't been on it, this is the best bit. You zoom out, go up quite a steep incline in the cable car, and then across and then down and then get off, or you can come back. The cameraman who I'm with, he took a funny turn there. He doesn't like it. This is why people pay the £7 to see these views over the River Thames, and the idea of it is to link Greenwich Peninsula and the O2 right over to the Royal Docks. A cable car in London might seem a bit odd, but when it comes to London's history, it's actually one of the more normal ideas. This is London's proposed monorail. This one would have taken you down Regent Street. Dreamed up in the 1960s when people were choosing cars over buses, congestion was rising. And some thought the solution was to replace buses entirely. There have also been proposals for an airport on stilts in the Thames. Jumping forward, though, there was the idea of the Garden Bridge. That didn't make it. So how did this one actually get off the ground? The original idea for the cable car came about in the 90s when they wanted to help people get to the then Millennium Dome. Now it's known as the O2, but it didn't go down well with the bosses of the Millennium Dome, and it didn't happen. It was revived in about 2010 by the then Mayor Boris Johnson, who wanted to put a little bit of pizzazz into his Olympic transport legacy. Welcome to London's first cable car. So how many people use this in rush hour? We decided to do a bit of an experiment.
It's 8 a.m, rush hour in London. The cable car has just opened, so we decided to run a simple experiment. From just after 8 a.m. all the way through to 9:30, we counted how many people actually got on. In that time, just 20 people used it. At the busiest time of day, this place is almost empty. Transport for London, though, say it's not just about commuting.
The cable car is actually more about regeneration and helping homes grow and be built in this area. Actually, at the time, the Mayor Boris Johnson, he didn't rule out more of these across London. Imagine that. None of those happened in the end, though. This area is changing quite quickly. There's a lot more flats and homes cropping up here around the Royal Docks, but really the cable car is now a tourist attraction, and it brings in about £10 million a year.
Of that, about £2 million a year is profit. Transport for London says since it opened, the cable car has carried tens of millions of passengers, and in summer it's used by 40,000 a month.
And it has become Transport for London's tourist arm, really, and you don't need it, but there's probably nowhere else on transport where you get a view like this.
Tom Edwards there, and you can see more on the cable car on the BBC London website and social media pages as well. Right, to sport now, and Chelsea could rescue what's been a turbulent season with a win in Saturday's FA Cup final. The Blues are currently on their third manager of the season and are sitting mid-table in the Premier League. An FA Cup victory will be a tough ask against high-flying Manchester City. So, can they do it? Here's Chris Legg.
Enzo Maresca delivered 2 trophies for Chelsea last season, but gone on New Year's Day. His replacement, Liam Rosenior, appointed on a 6-year deal. Sacked 3 months later. So twice interim boss Callum McFarlane's 6th game in charge is the small matter of an FA Cup final against Manchester City.
It's an FA Cup final, so we want to win it. It's a massive competition, prestigious. This club's got history in that competition as well, winning it 8 times. So, our focus is on that, performing as well as we can against the top side.
Such is the discontent with the club ownership that some fans plan a peaceful protest at Wembley tomorrow. But as has so often been the case over the years, out of the Chelsea chaos emerges a shot at silverware. Tomorrow on the hallowed turf here at Wembley, the chance to carry off the FA Cup. But to do so, Chelsea will have to topple the mighty Manchester City. Their team may be underdogs on this occasion. Chelsea fans, though, determined to revel in the moment.
We might have been to Wembley a lot, but it is actually really quite special going to Wembley, and you can't take it for granted. And I'm actually going there on Saturday absolutely with that in mind.
If we lift that trophy on Sunday, that feeling's going to be so amazing for the Chelsea players and Chelsea fans, especially with everything we've been through this season.
If I'm being totally honest, I'm not incredibly positive, but as everyone always says, in a one-off game, anything can happen. And as we saw last year, 1 goal can change the whole game. So, of course, there's a little bit of hope.
Neto in, Fernandes!
The high of an FA Cup semi-final win over Leeds came in the midst of a dismal run of 6 consecutive Premier League defeats. Unpredictable Chelsea must reach those Wembley levels once more.
We need to be playing with the right attitude again. I suspect they'll have it at Wembley. I definitely suspect they'll have it. Does that mean they'll win? Well, no, because Manchester City are a fantastic team. They've come on some very, very good form this season. So percentages, maybe a 20% chance of winning.
As Wembley was readied for the big day, how Chelsea fans would love to see this message writ large tomorrow. Chris Slegg, BBC London.
Well, BBC Radio London will be across not just the FA Cup final, but all the major London matches this weekend. Here's Nick Godwin with details of how you can listen.
We're on air on BBC Radio London tomorrow afternoon from 2 o'clock on 94.9 FM, DAB digital radio, And on BBC Sounds for one of English football's great set-piece occasions. It's the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester City. On Sunday, on DAB Digital Radio and through the BBC Sport website, we're on air from 2 o'clock for 2 games in the Premier League, Brentford against Crystal Palace, followed by West Ham's crucial trip to Newcastle. I hope you can join us for that.
Now, it's not really been the weather for outdoor swimming this week, but when temperatures do finally get a bit warmer, Londoners will have a new place to cool down because the River Thames is getting its first ever official bathing water site in Kingston. It's one of 13 new inland sites officially opening in England today that will be tested and monitored by the Environment Agency. Well, Wendy Hurrell is down by the river for us this evening. Wendy.
Yes, it's 14 degrees in the water. They are making good use of it already. Just up that way is Kingston. Twickenham that way and Teddington is on the other bank there. And as you say, this is now a designated bathing area, which means that it's going to be weekly tested by the Environment Agency, and all of that data will go online. If pollution levels go up, these swimmers will be alerted to it, and hopefully the Environment Agency will actually work with water companies, farmers and the local community to address the reasons for that water pollution. Now, one of the driving forces behind all of this, Rebecca, this is a special place for you all. Why go to all the effort to get it designated a bathing area?
It is just the most beautiful place. It's the most fabulous place to swim. I love swimming here. It clears my mind, and I wanted it to be something for the whole community to use. Paddleboarders, swimmers, rowers, kayakers, sailors, anglers, everyone, and to look after this amazing river that we have going through the centre of our city.
And congratulations that you managed to do it. Well done. There is the BBC actually went to visit 14 previously designated bathing areas and found that apart from 2 of them, the water quality is being deemed poor and people are told not to swim in them, or it's not healthy to swim in. So we've got designated bathing areas that are not healthy to swim in. So there's an uphill battle to look after our waterways at the moment. And this is where these 2 come in. Magnus, there is a particular challenge happening to this stretch of the river, isn't it? Can you tell me about that?
There is, because Thames Water, just about 200 yards downstream, want to install an extraction point which will take water out in times of drought, when London is suffering from a shortage of water, and they will replace that water with treated sewage from the Mogden sewage plant, which is one of the biggest sewage plants in Europe, I believe. And that threatens this beautiful place, and it will cause an immense disruption for the residents on both sides of the river.
Yeah, so the campaign continues. Marlena, you're the founder of this group, the Teddington Blue Tits Chill Swimmers. I've got that right, haven't I? What difference is the monitoring going to make here now?
Well, we are hopeful that when the monitoring is done and Kingston then publish the results for all to see, we are really hopeful that it will show the quality of the water to be good during the bathing water season. I'd like as many people as possible to use our lovely river, and when we've done our testing before, we found it to be generally good. So that's all we can hope for.
Very positive, and congratulations. I'm glad you can see that they're fighting here to look after this waterway, and it's one topic that gets people talking.
Certainly does. Wendy, thanks very much indeed. Next, to the fast-thinking 6-year-old boy from northwest London who saved his mum's life using skills he learnt at Scouts. Connor had only been a member for a few months when his new first aid training was needed. He's now been given an Unsung Hero Award by the UK's Chief Scout. Tolu Adeoye went to the ceremony.
The first person I want to call up is a squirrel, Connor. Come on up.
At Gilwell Park, the home of Scouting, a very special award for a very young scout. 6-year-old Connor from Willesden was given one of the Chief Scout's Unsung Heroes Awards for actions that saved his mum's life. So what exactly happened?
I was eating my dinner, I was having some chicken, and I've never experienced anything like it. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. Connor came and within seconds just started banging my back, hitting my back.
I saw her doing this and then I remembered something in schools. We had to tap somebody's back to get the food out.
Connor learnt the emergency first aid skills at Squirrel Scouts, which he's only been a member of since September. Did you ever expect that you'd need to use it? Oh, you did. Can you kind of show me roughly what you did?
What did you do? Mummy's back.
So you just turned around and a few
Taps.
Connor's one of just 20 scouts across the UK to be recognised in this year's awards for using skills and values learned through scouting. There are around 500,000 young people in the network, with 100,000 on the waiting list to join.
I see the difference our volunteers make.
Chief Scout Dwayne Fields wants to be able to offer a space to everyone who wants one.
The one challenge we have is we just can't keep up with demand, and I'd beg for anyone who has a few hours to spare, join up as one of our volunteers. It's so easy. Go to the website and support our young people to do more incredible things, just like Connor and the others here have.
Connor may be a Squirrel Scout, the youngest group in the movement, but he's already representing the very best of scouting.
I think all children should learn basic first aid, and if it wasn't for Connor being in Squirrels, who knows what could have happened. Beyond proud of him.
Tolu Adeoye, BBC London.
Well done, Connor. OK, time for the weather. And Jen's here. Hi there.
Hello, it's been another fairly chilly day out there today. We've had lots of cloud, some showers around as well, and a little bit of blue sky spotted here in Isleworth. Not quite that much blue sky over the city of London, but over the course of the weekend, we may see a little bit more of it. We are expecting some bright spells and, yes, some further scattered showers. Let's have a look at the map then through this evening and overnight. A few showers still to come, but they will tend to fade away, and then through the night, clear spells developing. And underneath those clear skies, the temperatures will be dropping away as low as 2 degrees in a few spots. So it's possible that we may see a touch of ground frost. Either way, it's going to be a chilly start tomorrow morning. Some sunshine first thing, but you can see that cloud rolling in once again later in the afternoon. A few showers moving in as well. Temperatures tomorrow marginally higher than they've been today, 14 degrees Celsius with a light westerly breeze. Now, that breeze will help to keep the temperatures Saturday night into Sunday a little bit milder. We've got some rain to move through, and then those overnight temperatures into Sunday morning, perhaps 10 degrees Celsius. So a much milder start to Sunday than Saturday. But Sunday, once again, is going to be a fairly unsettled sort of a day. We will have quite a bit of sunshine during the morning, but again into the afternoon, that cloud is going to be building and maybe 1 or 2 showers. But those temperatures, again, marginally coming up, 16 degrees Celsius through Sunday afternoon. Now, we are going to see quite a big swing in those temperatures as we head through next week. You can see on this air mass chart, we start to import more of these orange colours, indicating that those temperatures are going to be going up. So if it's been too cold for you, just take a look at next Friday. We could be seeing highs of 27 degrees. How about that?
Quite the opposite. Thanks very much indeed. OK, that's about it from me. I'll be here with our 10:30 programme. Do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.